Hey guys, usually I do a tutorial every day, but I thought I'd go a little different today by showing you a sound that I've been working on for like an hour. Start off in an airport when I was bored. So what this is basically is the top part is a drum thing I did. So that's pretty normal. This was at 140 BPM before because I just want to test it out. And what I'm going to show you is this kind of weird Neuro thing. And I don't know how I came to that. I guess it was kind of random, but I'm going to show you how to make it. So you need FM8 for this thing, or you can do it with Citrus. It's the same deal. I'm going to mute all the effects. It takes 2 mixer tracks up. That's how many effects it uses. It's kind of a Reese. And what it is a sine wave and a saw wave. And the saw wave is detuned to both are at 0.25, and the saw wave is tuned by 0.2018 hertz, or the ratio of 0.0018. Gives that kind of detuned thing there. It's not too crazy though. It's pretty subtle. So that's kind of a Reese here that it's pretty easy, and just ignore the name. I was tired and had no idea what it means. And the actual, I automated this here, which controls FM, because this thing uses FM too. And what B is I don't know if you can do it in Citrus, but it's basically pulse width modulated ramp mod, or I think you can do like an inverse saw by inverting the phase of a saw wave, something like that. It'd look like this. Yes. Then I don't know, you'd get it upside down though. I think you'd use a TX function. Gets that weirdness. Then I put another sine wave kind of to give it squelch with 0.25 on a bunch of other ones, and I'll cover FM synthesis in probably part 3 of the tutorial. Pretty Reesey. And the last thing I had was a square wave, which if you do it in Citrus, because it is like a pure DC square wave which goes up and down, as far as the waveform goes, it'll get you clicks. But this one doesn't, because it's not a perfect square. It's not additive either. I don't know what it is. I think it's just a FM worthy square, and that's detuned a lot to get at that. So this is, you can do it without the saw too, but I added that recently because it gives it more sub. That's that. Oh, and one more thing you want to do that I do with everything is in the master here. If you're using FM8, click master, and I'll show you how to do it with Citrus too. And you want to click portamento on, set the time to a certain amount you want, turn the polyphony to mono so there can only be one sound. It's a difference. And to do it in FL, you can just put slide notes in the piano roll by, let's say this is, I want to get from this note to this note. I can double click on here and click slide, and now this note will slide down to there for however long this note is. Can't do it with that because it's drums, and can't do it with this because it's an external VST. So I guess we'll get started with the effects, and there's a lot of them. First is an EQ here, which I covered briefly in the mixer tutorials. It's kind of a reverse bandpass, or a bandpass that, I don't know how to explain it, but it's basically the 4th band here, which is the mids. It's pulled up to as high as it can go here, and I'm modulating that, or controlling it? I'm automating it. That's it. I'm automating it with this automation clip here. If I solo this, and I think I adjust the bandwidth a little, and it gives it that kind of high resonance click that you hear in like mini Moogs and other, or in high resonance filters, because this pretty much is a filter. But it's not so much cutting things out as adding more things in to mute the other aspects of the sound. So I did shape it a little bit here, added some parts that I liked. Might reduce that a little actually. And you can hear if you have good headphones or good speakers. Oh, there's my cat. It's pretty dense. It's pretty dense in the low end, and I kind of wanted that for this sound when I was making it, because when you wave shape, oh, he's on my desk, neat. When you wave shape low end, because it tends to be louder when it's layered up with other things, it distorts and it makes it sound just better. And my cat's wanting to walk on my keyboard. Next thing I added was a chorus. And I think I set it to a preset here, just right click, and I think it was either light HF or low N, one of those things. Don't walk on my keyboard, cat. It's very difficult. And if it's at 100%, let me just copy this here by right clicking. If it's at 100% on the mix level here, it sounds pretty cheesy. It's just too wide, but I adjusted it to mix 14% of the wet and the dry. Fattens it up quite a bit, and of course the EQ sounds like this. And that's pretty much what I got to in the airport, and then I tweaked it at my house, so that's what it sounds like with drums. You know, it's neuro-y, and it's not quite drum and bass because I just put a loop together in about 2 minutes. And I added more effects. Oh, hey cat. If I had my webcam on, you could have seen him. He's pretty big. Next I added a waveshaper, which is a kind of distortion that moves the input audio to a different point on a wave. It changes the volume so quick that it causes distortion purposefully, and that's what we want. So before, after. You can see the low end comes in handy there because it, I don't know, it just adds kind of a energy to it. Pretty nice though. That's just setting some curves here, and it kind of soft saturates it. And next, what do? I put more EQ on it, because stacking is what made this sound beautiful. Lots and lots of stacking, lots of automation. I don't think this would be practical unless you're going to like make 5 of these things and slice them up and put them into a song, because it's a pain in the ass to automate all of these, even though a few of them are completely random. Let's go into the mixer here. And next I'll enable the next EQ, EQ2. And I think I modulated 2 envelopes. I don't know, let me see. Actually, I should rename this to in. There you go. Nope, 1. And what I did here, I cut some of the parts of the sound out that seemed too strong. I'm going to bring that up a little bit. And I put a very, it's still pretty strong of a change here, but I put a slight mid-band automation deal here like I did in the first one, only this one is up there. And you can see there's 2 of these, each doing their own thing, so that was fun to automate. And next, what do we put? More chorus. Actually, I might want to turn that down. And I'm doing the same deal here where 100% just sounds like a kind of chorusy, cheesy mess. And I turned it down to a reasonable amount, and I know I used Fat Clean for this because it has a lot of low end to it. Let's enable all of these for now. Next up on the list, I has more wave shaping. This thing kind of has a liquidy feel to it, I think. And it's very slight too. It did add a little bit of curve there. And that is wave shaping. The mix and the pre-gain are pretty much the same on all of these. I might want to oversample a little. There's a little grain to it. Yep. Oversampling, by the way, is right. It's running the processing the audio within the plugin at twice the sample rate as you have selected. So right now I'm running at 44,100 hertz. So it runs at 88,200, and then it fits it down. It's kind of like anti-aliasing, I guess, but it doesn't kill you too much at low values. Well, AA does too. So next thing here, I kind of have a notch. which pretty much all of these, all the parameters here for what type of curve the EQ is set to stay the same. But yes, I just dropped this thing low, set the bandwidth to a lot lower actually, and I shaped the sound a little here. So it is a notch filter, which is kind of the opposite of a bandpass, where it removes certain frequencies in a certain range and keeps the others, while a bandpass only allows a certain amount of frequencies within its range and ignores the others. So that's more automation there. Each one's individual and unique. You can see them all here. It sounds pretty weird. I mean, I was going for a liquidy kind of brain melting feel, and I think I got that. I'm not even done with the effects yet. So next I have a chorus, and this one's different because I have it set to, I think, low N again, but usually I turn down the dry wet mix like I did with the other ones, but instead I'm automating it with this one here. If I turn it off, sounds pretty fat, but too fat. If I do this, it adds, I don't know. I just did it though because it sounds pretty neat. Next thing I did here, I routed this into here, the mixer channel. It says in is routed to diam, and diam is routed to insert 5 because I was trying to do some side chaining, but it doesn't work with drum and bass too well. Inside of diam, I have another wave shaper with this peculiar shape here, and this should probably turn on the effects here and solo this one. It does things to the sound. I mean, it's almost destructive, but the way that I did it is I oversampled it because they're very smooth curves here, and to sample those things it's hard to sample smooth curves is what I'm getting at. And I turned up the pre-gain so there's more audio feeding into here, even though it's pretty much at 0 dB, not quite though. And I turned down the mix because if I copy this here, if I turn it up, that's a mess. It's pretty much a sonic mess. There, it adds color to it and gives it that squelch, so that is good and stoof. Next, kind of put this weird one here that's another EQ. I think it's the last one. Nope, one more. And I don't know what to call this one. I shaped the sound with the curves here, or the knobs, kind of a ramp here, and reduce the lows a little bit. I want to bring it up actually. And this is to emphasize certain parts of the sound during the song when it's playing, and this, it punches through the mix easier, not punches, but it gets its way in. So all I'm doing is modulating the I use Englishes. I'm automating the volume of knob 2 and the frequency as well, so it goes pretty nuts, and that's this one I think. Maybe, just maybe. What's left? Chorus again. Oh, probably want to mute those drums. And this one, I don't know why, but didn't even put it on. Really, I don't know how to explain this. It just sounds crazy. A little bit of underruns going on, right? Just a few. Let's turn it there. Problem solved. Okay, chorus again. Turn down the wet to dry amount to not exactly sure. Do it to ear, and I think I set to definitely light for this one. And then the next one's pretty cool. I put a reverb 2 on it, and reverb is a spatial effect that makes the sound bigger. But what I did here is I turned the delay up a little bit and synced it to tempo-based pre-delay. And I modulated the, I automated the wet knob here, so if you listen, it sounds pretty unique. It adds breath to it. If I don't automate the wet knob, this is what you get. So probably mute. Now let's turn it up. It's not too pleasant, but when you automate it, it adds subtlety to it, kind of adds accent to it. So that's that. Next, I put more distortion on it because why not? And this one's different because it's a unipolar curve. Like it's always in unipolar. This is bipolar, which is different audio FFT. Blah, blah. But what it's doing here is it's crunching audio right about here, and it at this point, I'm just going to give you a brief rundown on how they work, so you might know. So this is the quiet sounds here, and anything going in here is quiet. So let's say this is, I don't know, 0 dB. If you bring this up, anything at 0 dB will have volume, but that can't work because 0 dB is nothing. And that causes distortion indefinitely. Like that. But I guess Waveshaper has some kind of anti-mind rape software technique built in. And then I put one of these things here, which is pretty close to the original wave point, and I moved it up a little, add some crispiness to it, more crispiness there. Then I drop this down so it reduces the volume and adds its own way of distorting things, and I went just normal from there, except to put a curve there, or a point, so the upper part wouldn't be affected, which is where our waveform peaks out at. It's getting pretty close to finishing. Next, I put just a normal EQ to reduce some of the bass on it. Nothing special there, just bass reduction and stereo enhancer. Self-explanatory. Let's write the stereo field. Now let's hear it with the drums finished. I can drum and bass. That's pretty much how I made that sound in a nutshell, and that's how you can make a lot of sounds because it doesn't require any external plugins except for FM8, but you can use Citrus for that because it's FM. So, brief rundown of it again. EQ, chorus, waveshaper, EQ, chorus, waveshaper, EQ, chorus, waveshaper, EQ, chorus, reverb, waveshaper, parametric EQ again, and stereo enhancer. As you can see on my screen, that is a shitload of effects, but it doesn't eat your CPU too much because they're stock plugins that are just EQing and distorting. So as far as that, so you make that sound. I'll probably do another one in another day, but not today because I'm too tired and I made this sound.